Final key assignment, a summarization of models 1 through 6, Amanda Duncan, CCH 580, the Community College, Professor Jacqueline Levy, Northern Arizona University. Module 1, Getting Acquainted with the Community Colleges. The history of the community college is unique to the American society. The early beginnings were much like their European predecessors in the way that only really obtainable by a wealthier class who could afford to attend, making it extremely elitist. Over the course of 5 generations, the community colleges have been shaped to the higher education institutions we know today. First generation, 1900 through 1930. Before junior colleges, high schools had grades 13 and 14. A school board in Joliet, Illinois was the first to establish a junior college. William Ray Me Harper, president of the University of Chicago, had the idea to create a separate school for grades 13 and 14 from which students could attend from home or close to. By 1922, 37 states possessed a junior college. By 1930, there was 440 in all but 5 states. All were small and privately funded. There was an accreditation aspect by the end of the first generation. Here we have Joliet Junior College above on the left and William Rainey Harper on the right. Second generation, 1930 to 1950. When community colleges came of age, 610 community colleges by 1940, 400 average enrollment. The GI Bill was the first funding from the federal government, allocated free tuition, books, and housing to all veterans. In 1946, President Truman establishes the Commission for Higher Learning with the slogan Education for All. Here we have President Franklin D. Roosevelt signing the GI Bill on June 22nd, 1944. Third generation, 1950 through 1970. Universities start training college administration with $1.6 million grant from the Kellogg Foundation. Federal legislation allowed students to start receiving financial aid. College campuses begin expanding. Higher Education Facilities Act of 1963 is passed. The Higher Education Assistance Acts of 1965 is passed, and the education of the baby boomer generation begins. The fourth generation, 1970 through 1985. Community colleges start growing to record numbers. Over 1,200 colleges have been established, which is close to the current day's amount. Enrollment triples. Campuses expand curriculum to include vocation programs. 60% of degrees were occupational related programs. First time, women outnumbered men, and part time students outnumbered full time. Fifth generation, 1985 through 2000. Leveling off of community colleges, focused on an accommodation of students, enrollment continues to grow. Module 2, what community colleges are all about. Cheaper tuition, workforce feeding, caters to the working adult, provides supplementary programs, transfer to university in the community close to home. Mission statement, philosophy, and vision. Mission statement defines what the college's main focus is, what it is all about. Philosophy defines the moral and ethical values of the college. Vision is a future goal the college wishes to obtain and continuously walk towards achieving. State regulation of community colleges. Regulation of community colleges is often determined by legislation. Colleges retain lobbyists who can influence lawmakers. Local governing boards and administrators make agendas to inform senators and representatives of community college issues. College districts monitor upcoming legislature on community colleges. The Department of Education, the President of the United States, under executive orders, the governor, and other local and state departments can have an effect on upcoming legislation when it comes to community colleges. Federal regulation of community colleges. American Association of Community Colleges regulates financial aid, Pell Grants, and workforce funding. Module 3, working in a community college. Community colleges no longer require faculty to have a teaching certification. Instead, they are encouraged to come up with their own requirements. The main focus of these requirements are going to be what the Maricopa Community College District's faculty requires for employment. Challenges working in a community college. A shortage of graduate programs in the community college teaching. Learning outcomes are becoming more emphasized than quality of instruction. Technology advancements and integration. Part-time staff over full-time staff requiring more training on the job. Academic faculty position requirements. Maricopa Community College requires that their faculty have a minimum qualifications. A master's degree in the specified teaching field, a master's degree in any subject with 24 upper division / graduate credit hours in a specified field, a master's degree in any subject with 18 upper division / graduate credit hours in specified field, and completion of an EDU 250 class teaching and learning in the community college or equivalent, which has to be done within the first 2 years of being hired into the community college. Occupational faculty requirements. Maricopa Community College District requires the same qualifications as academic faculty, but has the following requirements as well: a bachelor's degree with 3 years work experience, associate's degree or 64 semester hours and 5 years work experience in the field to be taught. 5 years work experience in the field to be taught, completed the EDU class teaching and learning in the community college or equivalent within the first 2 years of being hired. Module 4, funding the community colleges. Community colleges get their funds from multiple sources of income, including tuition, state aid, property taxes, private donations, grants and contracts, and other funds. Tuition. Colleges gain revenue from both in-state and out-of-state students, out-of-state being charged more. The cost of courses, fees, books, supplies, equipment, parking, and others. State aid. Maintenance and operating paid by the state is based on full-time student equivalent footseat counts, calculated by the amount of full-time students attending the college after 45 days of fall and spring semesters, and then that number is divided by 2. Equalization state aid. This is where the state gives funds to colleges in lower income areas that the property taxes do not cover. So if they're in a lower income area, they don't have as higher value of homes. So basically the state will give the value of what the college needs to supplement of what they're not getting from the property tax of the lower income area. Property tax levy, collected based on the value of the homes in the area of the community college. More than half of the funding from community colleges comes from property taxes. Module 5, Teaching and Learning in the Community College. Chapter 5 was divided into 3 sections: terminology and accreditation, course offerings and curriculum, articulation, partnerships, and alternative deliveries. Terminology and accreditation. Accreditation is what community colleges institutions obtain when they are delivering quality instructions to their students. To gain accreditation, the student must pass the standards of Higher Learning Commission. A few examples of terminology commonly used in community college would be an associate's degree, which is a degree requiring a minimum of 60 semester hours of course credit. Certification programs require less than 60 semester hours of course credits, have been approved by a local district governing board and adopted by the state board. Skills center / vocational programs, a credential awarded by a district upon a student's completion of an approved skill. Course offerings / curriculum. There's not just one factor when it comes to the offerings and curriculum at a community college, rather a conglomerate of entities. External factors include Articulation Task Force, State Post-Secondary Review Entity, North Central Association, Local Board, Course Equivalency Guide, Business Industry, advisory committees, external agencies. Internal factors include student demand, need of surrounding businesses, need of classes for certifications, needed classes for licensing and transfer to a university. Articulation, partnerships, and alternative deliveries. Often community colleges will create partnerships with major universities in order to create transfer programs into upper undergraduate degree programs. The most common reason is due to the low cost of tuition, as well as any remedial classes a student may need to integrate into higher learning. Alternative deliveries include online college or hybrid learning. Module 6, planning for the future of community colleges, increasing graduation rates up to 50%, preparing students to be college ready, integration of technologies, changing the way transcripts are perceived, obtain funding through public and private investments, implement policies to upkeep quality standards and accountability of reaching goals, become more specialized for workforce entry, use marketing to attract more students. And my references.